Hey guys, welcome back. If you haven't subscribed already, do so. You already know what to do. The series that I'm doing now is called Try Jesus. Try Him. And a story that I have that's the backtrack about my own personal life is when I was in college. I was a freshman, right? I entered the year dealing with like a couple of losses of friends, and like what I experienced is that I didn't properly grieve the right way, or I didn't know how to. So during that whole year, it was different trials, different storms of God prying at my heart, trying to get me to come back to Him. And through that time, I found out that the constant thing was God. He was opening doors. He was welcoming back to Him, right? So why is it so hard for us to ask God for help? I know from myself, I don't know if you guys can relate. I was shameful. I was like, man, like I'm so much of a mess. I don't think God can do this. I don't think God can do that. But in my mind, I knew that wasn't true. But that's how I felt. And I was so unclean that I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. Like how Saul felt, right? When he became Paul, like he was like, man, how can this be? How can that be? I did all these things. I was persecuting, and then like his whole life changed. And there's a lot of other examples in the Bible. So I thought I was too much of a mess for God to fix, like I said. But as you read the Bible, you see men and women of low status and some poor morals being used by God in great venues, being raised to many podiums to speak about God, about His great love, demonstrating God's overarching love to all. And it's a scripture that I want to read to you guys. It says, "If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and He'll give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking." But it's important to note that it does not stop there. We can enter the temple and approach God, but do not overlook verse 6. Verse 6 says, "But when you ask Him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind." So, we can trust Jesus, but when we waver, how can He trust us in the battlefield? If you're going to war, and you have a comrade that you're fighting with that is like mentally they're not really there. Do you want to fight with them? There's a chance that they could kill you. Or if you're on a basketball team and you are relying on that one player to make the shot, and sometimes they're not really in the game. Do you want them to make that shot on behalf of the team, on behalf of the rest of the squad? So, when you try Jesus, there's two things that I want to highlight. You must not waver, and you have to keep others first. So for must not waver, the verse is Ephesians 6:18. It says that we have to pray in the Spirit at all times, with all kinds of prayers, asking for everything you need. To this, you must always be ready and never give up. Always pray for all God's people. When all seems like it's going south, do not give up. There is always someone watching and learning from you. I'm a teacher. I work in the schools. I serve at the church. So it's always somebody watching me, watching my actions, watching my words. How do I react? It's always somebody on Facebook, even if I don't know them, waiting to see how we can react to different things. And then that debate that challenges them. It's like, man, like, so they're acting like this. So is that okay for me to act like that? It could be good, it could be bad. And you have to keep others first. When God changed Paul's life, throughout his letters, throughout his mountainous ministry, he put others before himself. Even when he was in jail for the last time, he was writing this letter to Timothy. He knew he was about to die, but he decided to pour into the next generation. He decided to build on his legacy, and that's something that we all need to do when we're gone from life, when we're gone from our different career paths. We have to plant the seed. It's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna pass this baton on to the next, and then they're gonna do so much more than I ever did. Their expectations for this company, for this career, is gonna be so much more. Imagine if your bosses did that, your CEOs. Imagine if you did that. How much growth would you experience? As a whole. Um, in Philippians 2:3, the Passion Translation states that we must be free from pride-filled opinions. Imagine that. Pride-filled opinions. For they will only harm your cherished unity. Don't allow self-promotion to hide in your hearts, but in authentic humility, put others first and view others as more important than yourselves. So, like I said about the CEOs, what are you doing to leave behind a legacy? How are you serving those around you? Are you the type of boss CEO that builds a company or is more concerned with self promotion? Are you allowing Jesus to utilize you through your purpose, through your gifts? And that's something that I have to be challenged with too. And a big reason of why I'm doing this YouTube channel is utilize my gift of serving, of leading. And if I'm not doing that, what's my purpose? Why am I here if I'm not living out the purpose that God gave to me, right? And I have to wrap it up. I have this last story. When I was in college, something that clicked for me with doing the youth ministry was when I went to this Native American reservation in Winnebago, Nebraska. And these kids, it was amazing. I learned so much about the culture that I didn't know. I didn't know, like, for me, I knew about the African American plight, the different things that we face, that we are facing. But when I went over there, I was like, man, so it's like somebody else that's going through the same thing. And it was cool just to see, like, stepping outside of yourself and seeing others. And from that experience, I have, just 1 second. Oh, yes. These are some of the kids. Like, I put it in the poster. If you guys can see, I put it in the poster. And, like, I remember those. I used to always think about them. Always wanted to go back. I went 2 times, and it was amazing. And then from that, like, ever since then, I've been serving the youth. Like, doesn't matter what I'm doing. That's my life. So, just remember the 2 points. We must not waver, and we must keep others before ourselves. And try Jesus. Like, you can go to the throne room. He gave us that access. So why aren't we trying them? Why aren't we trying that? You know what I'm saying? We tried everything else before we tried that. So today, do something different. This year, do something different. And watch your growth in your life. Like, it is, man. Like, when you grow spiritually, like, mentally, like, not even just physically, like, just overarching, like, when you grow with Jesus, with God, your problems, like, you'll have problems, you'll have issues, but, like, man, it's gonna be, like, a peaceful ride. You'll see the sad times, but you'll be like, but God did this, but God did that, and, man, it's beautiful. And, like, you guys can join in the comments. I can talk more about this with you guys, So, stay blessed. Have a great weekend. And we see each other next Friday.